Welcome back to the channel, everyone, for the 2022 NFL season. We are back here, and the first video on the channel for this NFL season will be my MVP predictions, all of which will not be in the top 10 in terms of odds. So we'll be going with some more long shot picks, dark horse, some would say, all of which are going to be at least 25-1 or better. And some ground rules to lay out before I get into my picks. I have 4 picks total, and we'll be betting quarter unit sprinkle on each, which will only amount to a unit, but some great rewards if one of these ends up panning out. So the last 9 NFL MVPs have been quarterbacks, so all 4 picks will be quarterbacks, and they have to be able to win the division and finish with a top 2 seed in the playoffs, as the last 9 NFL MVPs have done. And so let's get into it here. The first pick is going to be Derek Carr at plus 2,500. This is actually the one I like the most, just because Derek Carr has shown that he's a great quarterback in this league, willing the Raiders to the playoffs last year at a 10-7 record amid the chaos and uncertainty with the situations surrounding John Gruden and Henry Ruggs. And I think he played decently in that last Bengals game, almost sent it to overtime. That was a great contest. And it's also worth noting that in 2016, Carr could have won MVP. He and the Raiders were 12-3 through 15 games, but unfortunately he broke his lower leg and was sidelined for the rest of the season. The Raiders ended up losing their last game and did not win the division. They would have been a top 2 seed, and Derek Carr was a very big contender for the MVP that season, considering he had almost 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. But now going to his most recent statistical campaigns, they are pretty good. In 2020, he had 4,100 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, and a passer rating of over 100. Last season was a little bit worse. He had 4,800 yards, 23 touchdowns, but he did have 14 interceptions, which led to his rating being down to 94. Now, I think this season, with Davante Adams, you already have Darren Waller and Bryan Edwards. He has an elite assortment of weapons to throw to. I think the touchdowns could easily be 35-40, especially considering that the Raiders will be in a lot of shootouts. They play a very tough schedule with their AFC West opponents, and they will be playing the NFC West out of division. So they're going to have a nice carry job by Derek Carr, and I think he is capable of doing that. He's going to have some great moments late in games to show off what he can do. So I think Davante Adams has got 18 touchdowns in 2020 and 11 last year. So if he can put up a number like 15-20 this season, that should help out Derek Carr get to his goal of 35-40 touchdowns for winning the MVP. And I think the Raiders are plus 700 to win this division. So if you want to take them to win the division, I would rather just take Derek Carr at 25-1 to win the MVP, because if the Raiders do end up winning this division, they're going to have at least 12-plus wins. So if they're doing that, I think they're a top 2 seed in the AFC, which is why I think Derek Carr is a great value play at 25-1 to win the MVP this season. Next, we got Jalen Hurts at plus 2,500. I'm going to be honest, this is my least favorite pick of the video. I think we should be getting a little bit better odds that Jalen Hurts will win the MVP. But 25-1, I will still take, knowing the potential of Hurts. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles had a decent showing in his first full year as a starting quarterback in 2021. They finished 9-8 and barely ended up making the playoffs, although they did get slapped around by the Bucs in that wild card weekend game. But there has been a recent trend of young dual-threat quarterbacks winning MVP, such as Patrick Mahomes in 2018 and Lamar Jackson in 2019. Which shows that with improvement, Hurts will be a genuine contender. He finished with nearly 4,000 yards, which included rushing and passing. He's going to have to increase his volume of yards and touchdowns, though, because he only finished with 16 total passing touchdowns, although he did have 10 rushing touchdowns as well. To achieve Lamar Jackson's 2019 totals, he needs to increase to around 30-40 total touchdowns, which I think is doable, while keeping his turnovers in the single digits. If he does that, the Eagles will have a legitimate shot to win the division because the Cowboys will likely regress from 12 wins last season, and the fact that the NFC East has not had a repeat champion in nearly 20 years, they should be able to beat out the Giants and Commanders to win the division, as well as having a very soft schedule, so they will have an inflated record. And the addition of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith's improvement will bode well for Hurts this season. I think that if Jalen Hurts can take the next step, he has a great value in winning the most valuable player this season. Next, we go to a similar dual threat type of player, and certainly the riskiest pick of the bunch. We're taking Trey Lance at plus 4,000, 40-1, even though he only has made 2 NFL starts. He has elite arm talent and strength along with dual threat capability, which gives him a lofty upside. And the Niners did trade 3 first-round picks for Lance in 2021, and he's already been compared to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to trust Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's brilliance that they got this one right by drafting Trey Lance and mortgaging the entire future to get him at the number 3 overall pick. And I think that with Shanahan's play calling, Lance will be able to do well, but he does need to keep his completion percentage over 65% because if he doesn't do that, then he's going to have pretty inefficient numbers. But he will have easy short throw. The Niners playoff run last year, so I think that will aid him. He has great reliable weapons like Kittle, Debo, and Ayuk, who are the Yak trio, yards after catch, which will help Lance's stats. If Debo ends up staying with the team, he will likely not eat up carries from the backfield. He will likely just stay at his wide receiver role, which means that all of his production will derive from Lance. And if Lance does light it up this season, plays better than Jimmy Garoppolo, who got the Niners to 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl, by the way. The Niners, also having a great defense, will have a strong chance of winning this tough NFC West, which may lead to having the best record in the NFC, which is always what you want to happen if you have an MVP candidate. And although there is a hefty bit of risk in total, I will take Lance at 40-1. I think that is a great value play at this point. And finally, I will take Kirk Cousins at plus 4,000. I actually really like this play as well. I think Kirk Cousins has now become a very underrated player in the eyes of many NFL fans because of the Vikings' lack of success. And a lot of NFL fans like making fun of him because of his performance in big games. But in his last 4 seasons in Minnesota, which we now know he and former Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer had major disagreements and straight up just did not like each other, Cousins boasted elite statistical campaigns. Compare his stats to Aaron Rodgers last season, who was the 2021 MVP. Rodgers had 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. And Kirk had 4,200 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, which is slightly worse, but still, I mean, that's pretty damn good. You look at his other statistical seasons, like in 2020, 35 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 26 touchdowns in 2019, and only 6 interceptions. Then 2018, 30 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. All of those seasons basically having over 100 passer rating, which is very good. Means that he's been very efficient. The main difference between Aaron Rodgers, though, and Kirk Cousins last season was the team success component. The Packers finished 13-4, winning their division, and had the best record in the league. The Vikings, however, finished 8-9, with 8 of those losses being in close one-possession games. I believe that if the Vikings can win more close games this season, they will have a great chance to win the NFC North, especially with the Packers losing Devontae Adams. I say this knowing that Kirk Cousins actually has a winning record against Aaron Rodgers, and the Packers in his career, look it up, that is a stat. And with a new offensive-minded head coach in Kevin O'Connell, who is a McVay disciple, I think Kirk Cousins has the potential to have an even better statistical season than in years past, which will leave Minnesota in prime playoff positioning. So that concludes my 4 main picks. I think some other dark horses who have some better value but are very, very risky could be Trevor Lawrence at 75-1. I wasn't ballsy enough to pick it because obviously there is the team success component, and I just could not bet on the Jags winning their division or finishing as a top 2 seed. You also have Tua, if you believe in him. I don't really believe in him that much at 60-1, but if you do believe in him and the Dolphins getting Tyreek Hill, I would advise that as well. Then you obviously have Baker Mayfield going to the Panthers. If you think they're gonna be anything, then you might want to look at Baker Mayfield 75-1. Also, a popular trendy pick, Zach Wilson at 100-1. If you're buying into the hype, then I would advise taking him and the Jets to have a great season, but I'm just not going to be the one to do that. So that's going to do it for all of my plays, just the 4. Trey Lance 40-1, Kirk Cousins 40-1, and then Derek Carr and Jalen Hurts at 25-1 apiece. Remember, a quarter unit on each. Let me know what you guys think of the predictions down in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next one.